Hi, welcome to Math Antics. In this lesson, we're going to learn about negative numbers. Negative numbers can be a little confusing at first, so don't get discouraged if it takes you a while to get it. To learn what negative numbers are, we first need to start with whole numbers. You remember what whole numbers are, right? They're the set of numbers on the number line, starting with 0 and then counting up one at a time, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to infinity. That's a lot of numbers, but it's only half the story. And that's because the number line really goes in both directions. You're used to seeing the number line starting at 0 and just going to the right. But the number line also goes to the left. And what numbers are on that part of the number line? Yep, you guessed it, negative numbers. The negative numbers are just like a mirror image of the numbers on the right side of the number line that we call the positive numbers. And 0 is the special number that separates the positive numbers from the negative numbers. By the way, when you combine all these numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so on up to infinity, and -1, -2, -3, and so on, down to negative infinity, and the number 0, that entire set of numbers gets a special name in math. They're called the integers. As you can see, the negative numbers look just like the positive numbers. The only difference is that they have a negative sign in front of them. The negative sign looks just like the minus sign. In fact, if we wanted to, we could write a positive sign, a plus, in front of all the positive numbers. But to save time, we just assume that if a number doesn't have any sign in front of it, then it's positive. Positive is the default sign. Okay, now that you know what negative numbers are, we need to learn how to compare them to other integers. Remember that in math, comparing just means saying which of two numbers is bigger or smaller than the other, or saying that they're equal. And to do that, we use the greater than, less than, or equal signs. You're probably already pretty good at comparing positive integers. Like if I ask, which is bigger, 2 or 3? You know that 3 is bigger than 2. But what if I ask you to compare two negative integers? Which is bigger, -2 or -3? This is where negative numbers can be a little tricky, especially if this is your first time learning about them. That's because you're so used to 3 being bigger than 2 that when you see -2 and -3, it's really tempting to think that -3 must be bigger than -2, but it's not. -3 is actually smaller or less than -2. And to help you understand why, let's look at our number line again. Have you noticed that if you start at 0 on the number line and then you move to the right, the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger as you go along? 1 is greater than 0, 2 is greater than 1, and 3 is greater than 2, and so on. But what if we go in the opposite direction instead, to the left? As we go to the left, the numbers get smaller and smaller. 2 is less than 3, 1 is less than 2, and 0 is less than 1. Well, those same exact rules apply to the negative side of the number line also. The numbers get bigger as you go to the right, and they get smaller as you go to the left. So, since -3 is on the left side of -2, it's actually smaller than -2.